Morning, dear students. Today we are going to see the functions of mitochondria in this section. And in the former section, we just learned about oxidative phosphorylation and mitochondrial electron transport chain in detail. So that was an important section, and those who didn't watch it, please go and watch that video. So that is the main function. Oxidative phosphorylation is the main function of mitochondria for what? To generate ATP. Then there will be some other functions of mitochondria that also we need to learn. So what come next? It store the genetic information. How? In the form of mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondria also possess its own DNA that we have learned in the beginning of the chapter itself. So in that way, it shows a little of genetic information. And the third function, it synthesizes some proteins. Proteins means mainly some enzymes. That's very clear. It's simple. It's logic that as it possesses genes, it can synthesize proteins, and that might be some enzymes, including some enzyme they are synthesizing. So that is the third function of the mitochondria. Then it is store the calcium. It is the reservoir. It is the storage repository of calcium. It stores calcium, and also it transports some molecules into and out of mitochondria. So these are the functions. The first function is the main function that we learned in detail, and the other four functions also we need to understand and to write for your examination. I'm just explaining the transport of materials across the mitochondria a little bit. We know that this is the schematic representation of mitochondria. It is having outer membrane, inner membrane, and we learned in the last class that um, if in the beginning of electron transport chain, it takes up electrons from NADH, and that NADH is mainly obtained from so many metabolic pathway, mainly glycolysis, and that is happening in the cytosol. Cytosol, not inside the mitochondria. So that NADH NADH is present outside. So for initiating the electron transport chain, it should be present inside. So that mitochondria is trying that, and there is no special transport or carrier molecules to take the NADH inside the mitochondria. So what else can do? Only option is to take the electrons that is present in the NADH. So that's what happening. The electron from the NADH, it is transferring to some substrate, and because of accepting electrons, that substrate become reduced. That we know, after accepting some electrons, it become reduced, and this reduced substrate, it get loaded to some carrier molecule, and that carrier molecule brings all these things, this electron. From where this electron came? From NADH. So in this way, the electron from the NADH is taken up to inside matrix of the mitochondria to initiate the electron transport chain. So that is one function of mitochondria. And ATP, we know that because of oxidative phosphorylation, ATP is forming. And this formed ATP, it can't do anything by keeping, or it is hoarding inside the mitochondria. Instead, it need to be availed outside for other physiological process. It need to be transported outside of the mitochondria. So for that, in the membrane present some specialized carrier proteins, and with the help of it, the mitochondria is transporting the ATP that is formed inside the mitochondria to outside. And similarly, for generating ATP, it needs the raw materials like ADP and orthophosphate. And these two things are also obtained because of so many metabolic process, and these things need to be transported inside. For that also separate carrier proteins are there. So in this way, so many transport processes is going on across the mitochondria membrane. All these processes are physiologically very important. These are all the functions of mitochondria. Okay, and next we are going to see the biogenesis of mitochondria. How mitochondria is synthesizing, how it is increasing in number. And its synthesis mainly depend upon an interrelated activity of both nuclear and organelle genome. Both cells, nuclear genome as well as mitochondrial genome both need to interact for its biogenesis, and it can simply increase in number because of its division. That is one process, and also it can combine. Not only it can divide, it can combine between each other. So divide and combine, these the two notable features, abilities of the mitochondria regarding the number, its number inside a cell, whether to increase or to decrease. For increasing, it just simply undergoes division, and for reducing the number, it can combine with each other. And how they are dividing? Mainly, it is dividing by forming some furrow in the inner membrane, and it will deepens, and it is followed by the furrow formation in the outer membrane. By that way, this mitochondria can divide. In this way, its number increase. And this mitochondrial division, it is not going along. It's not going parallel to the cell division. This division always happens according to the demand of the cell, whether that cell requires enormous energy. Based on that only the mitochondrial division biogenesis happens. So with this, I'm going to finish today's section and the mitochondria chapter also over. Thank you.
I'm an icon, man. And my girl about a 10. I should fuck her in a Benz.